What's up YouTube, Dao here from Zephyr War Games, and you voted for it. You wanted to see the Metalfoes Zing profile, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring you a Metalfoes Zing profile, and I'll also explain what the synergy is between the two and why it works so well. With all that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe. If you get this video up to at least 50 likes in the first 24 hours, I will bring you a test hand combo video for this deck. With all of that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into today's profile of Zing Metalfoes. Now, I'm also, because, you know, I don't just do standard normal profiles, I'm also going to show you a couple of alternative engines, a couple of alternative routes, and a couple of different ways that you can play the deck itself as well. So, for those of you that don't know, Zings are probably one of the go-getters for floating effects that came out in Duelist Alliance. Now, they are about a bunch of worm cards that can utilise Synchro summoning during the opponent's main phase or battle phase, and they also have 2 tuners as well. So, with that brief little explanation out of the way, let's get started into the first of the cards, and we're going to be playing Triple Yugioh, the Darkness of the Zing. So this is your main kind of tuner, in a sense, for the Zings. It is specifically, when this card you control is destroyed by battle card effect, the exact same with all the other Zings, you can special summon, it has to be sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Zing monster from your deck, or, from your deck in a tap position except himself. If you control no other monsters, you can send 2 Zing cards from your hand to the graveyard, special on one Zing monster with 0 attack and one Zing monster with 0 defense from your deck, but banish them during the end phase. The idea is you're obviously going to use the effect of this, and then you're going to get 2 additional monsters on board. You're going to use them to Synchro summon. Now, it's quite a hefty cost, so you've got to be very, very careful on this, and you could arguably drop Yugioh down to 2 if you wanted to, but he is a nice level 2 tuner and a dark. So all the Zings that are not tuners have certain effects that provide additional boost to cards, and I'll go over them in a second. We then play 2 Chai Wen, the Light of the Zing. Now, this is obviously your level 1 tuner. Again, the exact same effect, it will float, so if it gets destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you'll special summon out another one. But what Chai Wen can do is, if it is in the graveyard while another Zing is destroyed by battle or card effect, it will special summon itself, but banish it when it leaves the field. We then run Triple Bixie, Water of the Zing. So this one, again, the exact same, destroyed, float. But its effect that it gives the Synchro monster is it is unaffected by trap effect, which is really important. We've then got Triple Swanee. So this is your boss monster, 1900 attack. This one gives the monster that is Synchro summoned, or that is used to make Synchro summon, an additional 500 attack. And then you've got Triple Bien, which is the Earth Worm as well. And this one means that the Synchro monster cannot be destroyed by battle. We'll then play the one Pulao, and this basically means that the monster is unaffected by spell effects, which can be very, very important in this current meta. We've then, to finish off the Zings, which floats quite nicely, we play 2 of the Pendulum monsters, and that is 2 Zafrani, Secret of the Zing. So this one's a little bit different. You're not going to put it in the Pendulum scale, unless you really want to pop it. So if you put it in the Pendulum scale, you're going to try and pop it with a Metalfoes monster. So when this card is Pendulum summoned, or when this card is destroyed by battle or card effect while in your monster zone, you can add 1 Zing or Zephyr spell and trap from your deck to your hand. Only use each effect once per turn. So the idea is, again, you want to get this special summon. So you pop a Zing, special this guy to the board. This guy will then trigger. Sorry, not trigger. It will need to be Pendulum Summon to trigger, which you can do in Metalfoes because they run scales 1 to 8. But then you can pop this with another Metalfoes. This will then get you your Pillars of the Zing, which is basically a counter trap that destroys one of your cards and spins one of your opponent's cards. So it pretty much sets everything in motion. We've then got the one Vanisher. Now, this is the aggressor that actually links the two together. This is the brand new card. Already gone over it in my Metalfoes profile. But what makes this card so good, going second specifically for this deck, is you need to, when this card is in your hand, you can target 2 face-up cards you control, including the Metalfoes card. So you pop a Metalfoes card and you get to destroy a Zing monster. Then, if you do, you special summon this card. So, if this card is special summoned by the effect of a Metalfoes card, which will be himself, target one monster your opponent controls and or in their graveyard and banish it. So not only do you get to pop one of your Yang Zings and trigger the Yang Zing to special summon out another monster, you get a free summon of a level 9, which is a little bit awkward on this one, unless you're going to try and go in for a VFD play. But you also get to banish one of your opponent's cards, which is really, really nice. And it is a scale 1. In the scale, if a monster or monsters you control is destroyed by card effect, except during a damage set, you can add one Metalfoes card from your graveyard to your hand, except itself. Now, obviously, that's going to be a little bit specific because 9 out of 10 your Metalfoes are going to go to the Pendulum Zones. But again, it's a nice scale 1, and the fact that it's just a free summon. The only issue with this is because it's such an awkward level, unless you're going to try and make VFD, the synchros you can access aren't great. We've then got double Gold Driver. Now, obviously, the Metalfoes all share the same effects. So in the scales, once per turn, you can type one other face-up card you control and destroy it. And if you do, set one Metalfoes spell or trap. So obviously, again, use the effect, pop a Yang Zing, get the effect of Yang Zing, get the set off, and off you go. So this is another way of how you can turn any Yang Zing into a Jatao. And as long as you control no other monsters, you're good to go. Again, level 4 is quite important as well. 2 silvered as level 3, and then we've got 2 of, these are all the 1 scales by the way, we've then got 2 of the Metalfoes Metal Caster. So in the scale, you can target one other face-up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, set one Metalfoes spell trap directly from your deck, nice. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add one face-up Metalfoes Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, except itself, but you cannot activate its effects or cards with its name to place it into the Pendulum Zone for the rest of this turn. So again, that's fine, because all you're going to do is you're going to add back the resource to Pendulum Summon it out to then Synchro and go from there. We'll then move on to the 8s. So we've got double Volflame, double Steelen, and double Bismugear. Bismugear could arguably be put to 1, but Bismugear does give you that end phase kind of search. Now the one thing with this deck, and I'll explain once we get to the extra, is whether you want to go pure first. And what I mean by that is you're going to focus on getting your Pillars of Yang Zing, Infinity, and a play into your Alchemist at the very least. Or you're going to be more aggressive and abuse Vanisher, go into Baxia, and stuff like that. But this one, of course, again, you can type one other face-up card you control, destroy it, and set one Metalfoes spell or trap. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add one Metalfoes monster from your deck to your hand during the end phase. So that's how you get into your Metalfoes as well. The final monster we've got is the Mermare. Now, Mermare is, again, more for an aggressive play. So, Mermare can be cut if you plan to go defensive because, I mean, it can be played, but it's not ideal going first. So, it can be cut if you want to. For the spells, we've got the 1 Metalfoes Fusion, the 1 Metalfoes Fusion, which basically allows you to fusion summon using your face-up Pendulum monsters in your extra deck. You can play the quick play, and I would arguably say play the quick play as well as an additional form of disruption if you wanted to. Reasoning, including your Yang Zings. Just in your Yang Zings, you're playing levels 1 to 4, sorry. Then with your Metalfoes, you're playing stuff 1 to 7s, and then 9 including the new Vanisher. So you've got plenty to go around with. E-Telly, free extender, bring out one of your Metalfoes. Yang Zing Path, this would arguably, and you could, the only difference between this and Pot of Avarice, is that this is searchable. And it is a Yang Zing card that can be discarded off a Jatao, but you could possibly put in Avarice. At least with Avarice, you can recycle your extra deck as well. So that's one thing to consider. Onto the traps. This is where it gets spicy. Well, not spicy, but defensive. Triple 9 Pillars of the Yang Zings. The 1 Yang Zing creation. So the one thing with creation is, if a monster or monsters you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you special summon 1 Yang Zing monster from your deck. You cannot normal summon monsters from the extra deck. special summon monsters from the extra deck except Synchros. So it's important that you keep in mind that it will lock you out of making your Link plays and any XYZ plays, or your Fusion plays. But the idea is that if your Metalfoes pops one of your Yang Zings and you've got Creation in play, your Yang Zing will come out, then you'll get an additional one off of Creation as well. So very, very good about floating and extending your resources. We've then got the 1 combination and the 1 counter. Obviously, they are what they are for Metalfoes. So that's pretty much the main deck. Before I move into the extra, I will talk about the card that I haven't put in, but would be something that I would highly advise putting in if you wanted to focus the deck on going first. If you were strong on making this deck go first, set up negations, make your plays and do stuff like that, then I would put in the triple summoner art and the double 1 monolith, 1 scout, and possibly the full Metalfoes. Now, to do that, I would probably take out a Metalfoes, I would take out a Jatao, I would definitely take out the Mermare, and I'd probably cut Bismugear down to 1 as well, and then probably cut down maybe pillars down by 1 because you can easily search it, and you'd probably cut the Yangzing engine itself down a little bit further. But the idea behind this is that you'd end up with an Infinity plus a Synchro of your choosing, hopefully, and then leading in with a Fusion play during your opponent's turn as well. So it's just more better for defensive plays. So then moving on to the extra deck. Now these are the extra deck ones that I've chosen, and again the remaining extra deck cards will be adapted depending on the route you want to take, because there is a lot of versatility with this deck and a direction that you want to take it. So we'll start off with the fusion monsters. We've got the one Metalfoes. So this is the brand new one. Once my hand comes out and the camera focuses. So if a face-up, in the scale, if a face-up Metalfoes card or card you control is destroyed by card effect, except during a damage step, you can target one face-up card in the field zone, destroy it. Only use the effect once per turn. It requires one Metalfoes plus one fusion monster, and then if this card is special summoned from the extra deck, target one card your opponent controls. Shuffle 2 face-up pendulum monsters from your extra deck into the deck, and if you do, destroy that card. Only use this effect once per turn. And then if this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you can place it into the pendulum zone. So again, you can pop it, put it in the scale, and you're good to go for a pendulum summon. So it's more. This is more about resource management, light bit of interruption, but generally setting up your scales. The one Alkahest, know how good this is, and know how good Mithrilium, and we know how good we know how good Orichalk is. Sorry, brain went numb there. The good thing about Alkahest is it requires one normal monster, so if you're not going to use a Metalfoes, you can actually use a token off of the worm, which is really cool. Moving into the Synchros, we've got our draw engine of a Synchro, which is Hyper Librarian. You just draw every time you Synchro. And the fact that you can Synchro during your turn and your opponent's turn, this is a really nice one to get on. And if you're going to make it with like a Jatau and a Bian, it can't be destroyed by battle, which is beautiful. If you're going to make it with a Swanee and a Chaiwen, it's going to be a 2900 Bia, which is great. Then, of course, we've got a defensive level 7 and an offensive level 7. So our defensive level 7 is Dawn Dragster, and our offensive is Yazi. So Yazi will obviously go into Mermere, and then off of Mermere, that's where you start going into the Tenyi engine, which I'll show you at the end. We've then got our defensive 8 and our aggressive 8. So defensive 8 is going to be Savage Dragon. So the idea behind Savage Dragon, or what might make it a little bit harder, is you need to make your links first, which will be Hulk or Sheep, and then you need to go into Appaloosa. So, or of course it will be the Tenyis, but you've really got to judge your playing style. You've got your Baxia as the aggressor, and then the level 9, which is probably like the best one in this deck because it's so easy to make, is Chao Feng. Now, Chao Feng kind of came around in the meta right now because you can play it in Virtual Worlds, but basically it stops your opponent activating card effects of the same attribute as the Yang Zings used for it. So again, if you used, specifically in this particular moment, if you were to use Bian plus Pulao and then get the rest of them with whatever attributes, doesn't matter, you shut down Virtual Worlds because they run Earths and Winds. And then obviously the tuners you're going to be putting in there is going to either turn off darks or it's going to turn off lights. So it's very, very easy to do that, but you do have to like think about it as you make it. Then for the Link monsters, we've got the one Halki Firebrax. I mean, you're playing 5 tuners, and you're going to be able to get your tuners out of your deck willy-nilly. And basically what this does is just allows you to give easier access to Link Climb Higher, or it gives you 2 very easy zones for Pendulum Summons later on. Cross Sheep, something you could cut if you wanted to go more Link heavy in this deck, but what's so good about Cross Sheep is that you can technically XYZ, but you're mainly going to be fusioning and synchroing. So once you synchro, you reduce all your opponent's monsters, which is nice. And once you fusion, you get to bring back one of your level 4 or lower. So you can bring back your Yang Zings and use them for another synchro. You can bring back your Metalfoes if it's in the graveyard because it was sent there via a detachment. And you're pretty much good to go. And then, of course, you've got your Appaloosa. So like I said, one route is to go Halli Firebrax to build up into Appaloosa, or you go other routes. Now, the remaining cards, you just need to choose 2 of these. Now, obviously, if you decide to put in the Megalith engine, not Megalith engine, sorry, the Monolith and Scout, then you'd put in Nova and Infinity. They need to be in there. If you're not main decking that part of the engine, you've got a Synchro version, which can be your Riser Dragon and your Herald. So the Riser Dragon and the Herald, of course, if you make this with Bian, is pretty much can't be destroyed by battle. You just sit there as a K, everything sent from data is banished, and then you can negate something. Riser, what is good off this is if you leave Hulk to leave you your 2 zones, you turn Hulk into Riser. Riser can then adapt its level, and then you can use Riser plus any of your Yang Zings or any of your general cards to make a Savage during your opponent's turn, a Dawn Dragster during your opponent's turn, or even a Chai Feng or a Bixie during your opponent's turn as well. The final 2 cards that you can choose to play if you don't want to play Riser and Herald is the Tenyi Spirit Sasara and the Shaman of the Tenyi. Now, what's really good about these and what's not so good about them is they both specifically require worms. So the best way to utilize this engine is to go into Yazi pop to get Mare can then make Shaman then can bring back a Tenyi to make Sasara, and Sasara is really good because it's quick effect. Give yourself a token equal to one of your opponent's effect monsters, and your opponent cannot target effect monsters you control for attacks except vanilla monsters, so your tokens. It's quick effect, so you get one during your turn and one during your opponent's turn, and the idea is it just clones the attack of your opponent's monster. So the best thing about those is the tokens, once they become levels, can be used to synchro summoning, but the idea behind this is you just protect all of your Yangzings from being destroyed by battle when you actually want to use them to synchro during your opponent's turn, and then you become even more disruptive. So there's a reason, ideally, or mainly at the moment, you're choosing between these two sets of cards, and how you kind of want to play it from there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for the Yangzing Metalfoes profile with a little bit extra. I hope you like this. I hope it's giving you a couple of ideas on an updated version of this deck. I certainly love Yangzings, and the fact that Metalfoes work really, really well with it makes it even better. There was the question about the missing timing, but the way this works is you destroy, resolve, and then on the separate chains, that's when the Yangzings go off. So as long as there's no interruption on the destruction for the Yangzing monster, so like if you go Metalfoes target to destroy, if there's nothing else that needs to resolve after the destruction, which is very difficult because you would go Metalfoes target to destroy. You go, okay, fine. Resolve the chain. So you destroy something, as long as it's you destroy it, you set it, you're good. That's the last thing of your chain resolving, then the Metalfoes comes in. So yeah, that's where the Yangzings then come in and start triggering their effects. But that is it. I hope you like it. Like I said, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more future content coming out this week. We do still have Wind Witches ready to go. I am working on War Rocks. I'm also working on Skull Knights because they can do some strangely cool stuff. And we also have Digital Bugs and an Umbral Horror Deck alongside Ancient Gears sitting in the wings, ready to keep you entertained. And I will have you my 18th out of 137 player updated Extravaganza deck. But for now, thanks so much for watching. As absolutely always, guys, stay safe and happy dueling.